It's 25 past 9, and yes, as we get into 2016, we start to think about these things. You look around the house, you might be on holidays, and you think, you know what, we need to clean this place up in more ways than one. More than half the population apparently still make New Year resolutions, and most of those involve the usual stuff like losing weight and getting fit and stuff. Don't spend money, blah, blah, blah. But decluttering's become a bit of a thing. And, you know, when you think about it, whether it's Christmas decorations, the post dinners, that is Christmas, New Year's Eve parties, all those things, you start to think about getting your house in order. Where do you start? George Rees is a home organisation expert from Clutterfly, and he has a few answers for us, hopefully. G'day, George.
Hello, I'm actually
Georgie.
I'm
Georgie.
bored sometimes, but
That's my apologies.
that's all right.
Once you've made the commitment to declutter and get organised, where do you start?
Well, that is the big question, and quite often it is just a case of starting somewhere, because I think most people actually make the decision and then the overwhelm is even more because they just don't know where to start. So I say either pick somewhere small, which is actually something that they can achieve in a short period of time. Give yourself a bit of a time limit so that you can go, right, I've achieved it, I feel good, now I've got the motivation to go on. Otherwise, you just choose the thing that's really annoying you the most, and then that's also going to give you the most satisfaction.
Yeah, I find that. I find I'll tidy up a desk or something small, and then once you've done that, you just got the bug then.
So use it and keep going.
What's the hardest room, though, to tackle, do you reckon?
Look, again, that I guess that depends on the family or the personality. I do have a lot of clients that find what I call taming the paper piles a bit of a problem, which means, in the kitchen, the desk, the office, the bedroom, there's always piles of paperwork and miscellaneous bills and things like that. So it's about creating a bit of a system where that stuff actually kind of filters through the home so that it's not sort of piling up in different places.
This time of year, of course, children are a big part of this equation. And a mate once said to me, made the observation that hadn't really occurred to me, and all my children were young at that stage, that when you start to have kids, your house fills up with strange-looking bits of plastic, much of which you can't identify, but it actually belongs somewhere.
Absolutely.
So what do you do about all that stuff?
Well, look, predominantly I do work with mums that just can't see a path through that chaos in the home, and that comes with having kids. And part of it is accepting it, but the other part is going, okay, well, how can we sort of make sure that stuff is kind of kept in some way that when the kids want to find that unidentified piece, that you actually know where it is as well. So quite often I set up a system where mums have a little lost treasure box, so that all those little bits that they think, I don't know what to do with it, I should chuck it, just like you were saying before. You could even use it with your adult kids. Put it in that sort of treasure box, and if someone's asking for that random piece, then you can at least sort of go to somewhere to find it.
That's a great idea. We actually... my daughter had a set of keys either stolen or lost at a shopping centre about 6 months ago. And on that set of keys, among other very important things, was the keys to, we're members of a little tennis club up the road. So the key to the tennis club was on that ring. Now, I went to the trouble of, we forfeited our deposit, got a new key, and that key, the new one, has gone missing as well. We have a suspicion as to where it might be. I'm sure it'll be in one of the children's cars. But never mind. These are the things that happen. That is a great idea. You have a little lost property box in a nice corner of the room or somewhere where it's not going to be obtrusive, and anything you find that you can't explain just goes in there.
Yep, absolutely.
What about socks? That'd be a good idea for socks, wouldn't it?
Yes, well, or you could sort of hang them actually in the laundry area so that's the place where the next sort of missing sock will probably come up. And the other thing I like to do is give things a bit of an expiry date. So, otherwise it could, the thing with socks is that you're never sure which part of the pair it is that you keep coming across. Is it the same missing one, or is it the other part? So if you give it a bit of a label and a bit of an expiry date, then you know how long it's been hanging around for, and you know really sort of whether it's time for it to move on. And actually what I do also is suggest a bit of a transition area. So if people are finding it hard to let go of some items that they know they probably should or they do want to, whether there's a bit of kind of emotional attachment or sort of, memorabilia, you put it in an area that you call the transition area, and you give it that expiry date so that when you come to revisit it in a few months' time, if it's still there, if you haven't sort of needed it in that time, you go, okay, well, it has been 3 months or 6 months, whatever the date is on it. And, I said to myself at that time that if I didn't need it in the 3 months, then maybe it's time to pass it on. So it's just a way of helping you, I guess, part with things.
From what we've heard already this morning in the program, the odd socks could be the result of dogs swallowing them.
Oh, yes, I had that when I was with my dog. You
So-
do find those, though. You do find them eventually.
Yeah, okay. So you reckon there's got to be a time limit, though, because you can't keep an odd sock for 3 years.
No, because as I say, it just keeps coming round and round and round, and you keep getting more and more, basically.
Teenagers. Now, it's one thing decluttering their rooms. It's another thing actually getting into that room to declutter it. Any strategies there?
Look, that is difficult. At least with young children, you're at a point where you can sort of maybe try to teach them, early on to help them later in life. With teenagers, it's sort of about, excuse me, you do have to work with them because obviously you can't get in there and just try and declutter the room without them because, there'll obviously be some arguments there. But it's about the framework of kind of giving them the choice of keeping some things and maybe passing on other things because, they might sort of think, oh, gosh, you're going to come in and just try to chuck everything, and then that's overwhelming, obviously. And I guess, as you were sort of alluding to before, you never know what's important to an individual. So that's like when I go into a home, I work with each individual and it's up to them what's important to them. And if they want to keep a room full of bits of technology, that's fine, as long as we can work out a way that they actually can find what they've got and they know what they've got in there. Because even though they might know what that little bit is for, if they can't find it, then there's no use keeping it.
As one of our kids said to us once, I know my bedroom is chaos, but it's my chaos, and I know exactly where everything is. And another thing too, a friend of mine once said that we were talking about what our children were studying at school. He said his children or teenage boy was studying various cultures. And I said, really? That's interesting. He said, yes, they're growing on a number of plates around his bedroom. There are certain reasons, hygienic among them, that we need to get into those kids' rooms at some stage for their own safety.
Absolutely. I know, and I guess that's part of the argument that you can put to them. Start by clearing that out. But maybe there's the other thing where it's sort of like going on strike. How long does it take for them to actually realise that you're not there just to tidy up after them? Maybe put all the dishes in a box and put it on their bed, that kind of thing, just to point out that it's not right to kind of keep the dirty dishes in your bedroom.
Now, Georgie, before I let you go, quick word on the office cluttering. Some people have desks that are just pristine. A mate of mine was a bit obsessive compulsive, and he used to have this amazing desk where everything had to be in its place. And I took great delight in shifting stuff around on the weekends. But the other thing is that people do get upset about this stuff in the office place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that just shows that everyone has a different personality. Everyone's got a different kind of way of needing to be organised. And that's why, there's never any judgment when I go into a home because, obviously I'm there to do a job and I've seen it all before. But it is one of those things where it's like if someone needs structure in their life to sort of feel in control, then that's fine. Other people might not need it, and then they're not going to be the ones calling me, clearly. But then there are the ones that know that their kind of organised mess is still not conducive to kind of a happy lifestyle or home, and they do want that help, but there's just that barrier of kind of, I guess, changing that lifetime of habits, and it takes time and dedication. And I think, you were sort of talking about the New Year's resolutions, that you almost need to kind of clear your head and clear your space before you can actually tackle whatever that New Year's resolution is.
Georgie Rees, after talking to you, I feel utterly decluttered. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, good. I'm happy to inspire. Thank you so much, Bill. Have a great day.
Thank you. Georgie Rees, their home organisation expert from clutterfly.com.au. Check it out. You get some very handy hints.